Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another videos, another paid request. This time for Tyler. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. PayPal is usually the best bet, and the links are either going to be there or over there. But Tyler wanted me to talk about Animal Kingdom Season 1, Episode 1 and 2. Figure I would do them in two separate videos. Now, I had never really heard of this show before. It was on TNT from 2016 to 2022, and I guess it got, about 6 seasons. And some actors I recognize: Ellen Barkin, who was in the Al Pacino film Sea of Love. She was in The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. She's in this. Scott Speedman, who's in some of the Underworld movies. He's in this. Sean Hatosy, which I haven't seen him in a while, because the last time I remember him, he's one of the students in The Faculty from that film from the 90s. And I guess this is based on an Australian movie, but I had never seen the movie. Pretty much the setup is you have this young teen named Jay, or nicknamed Jay, who in the first scene he's watching TV and his mom's nuts to him, and the paramedics come in because the mom has had an overdose of heroin, and sadly she dies. And you see the kid's like in a state of shock, that kind of numbness, that he's still watching TV, but at the same time he's like, he knows the serious of the situation, but like his mind's trying to escape it. One thing leads to another. He calls his grandmother, so his mom's mom, who is Ellen Barkin. She finds out what happened. Come on over to my place. He does, and he meets his uncles. Now he has 3 at this point, but there's a 4th one coming, so technically 4 uncles. You have Scott Speedman, who is an adopted one, and at this point seems like the more sensible of the group. He is a guy who's married, got a kid. You have another guy, and I forget the character's name because I'm bad with them. One guy who you find out, I believe in episode 2, that he's actually got a little bit of a gay side to him. You have another guy who, bit of a druddy, and then you have a little bit later in the episode, Sean Hatosy comes in. Sean just got out of prison. He was in prison for 3 years, and he was the twin brother of our lead character's mom. So it was a brother-sister twin. And you tell that he's out of it. He's mentally not there at times. At times it seems like he needs medication. Seems especially paranoid at times. Of course, doesn't trust this guy, Jay. It's definitely a guy that you're not quite sure what he's going to do next. Now, of course, Ellen Barkin and her sons, they'll do crimes, where she's the household. She's a very tough lady. Barkin orders, no pun intended, says her name's Ellen Barkin. And they'll do what she says. But at the same time, she has a very... trying to think, like, if you ever remember films like Big Bad Mama or that type of stuff back in the day, where you had the mom and her boys are criminals, and she's very loving with her boys to a point, but at the same time she doesn't want things messed up. And on the flip side, she's very motherly at times, cooking food and stuff. But at the same time, you tell that perhaps if you cross her a bit much, there could be some dire circumstances. and some of the uncles are planning this job. Sean wants to be a part of it, but Scott Speedman goes, listen, you just got out of jail, been out of jail for a day, sit this one out, and Sean doesn't like hearing that. While Jay, who has a girlfriend and he goes to school, is kind of finding bits of this piece by piece. Now, before I go further, overall I would say I liked it. I liked the episode, I liked the pilot. It just started things off in an intriguing note. I mean, from the get-go, like, okay, that's a hell of a way to start. Someone's mom overdosing, and then when you meet the clan, they have a very nice looking place with a pool, and you tell they got at least a bit of money, but the sons don't get too much of a share. Each one has their own little quirks, so it doesn't seem like they run together. Scott Speedman, he feels more comfortable here than he did in the Underworld movies. Sean, like I said, I was kind of getting a little bit of a kick out of, man, I haven't seen that guy since The Faculty. So it's nice to see him in this, and like I said, he is definitely the more interesting character. Like I said, you're not quite sure what he's going to do next. And it's great to see Ellen Barkin. You know, a few weeks ago, I rewatched Sea of Love, enjoyed it, and enjoyed her performance in that. Yeah, she's definitely believable in the role, where she knows a few tricks here and there. I mean, it's at least the next episode where, to jump ahead, she needs to get medication, so she'll like fake being this neighbor to get into this guy's place and get to his bathroom and find medication that guy has and steal some of his medication so that she doesn't have to go to any other official channels to get technical meditation. And the reasons for that, why she needs the medication, I'll get into in episode 2, but it went at a good enough pace. I was interested in the characters to see what would happen next and where this is going. Certain ideas, choices that I thought were interesting. For example, as some of our characters prepare for this job, this heist, what they do, I guess again, spoilers, they grab these tweakers and they put them in this vehicle and leave them there for a day or two or so that when they're pulled out, there's a lot of DNA in that vehicle. So supposedly, if cops or whatever find this, and they find all this DNA, it's not going to be the DNA of the culprits, it's going to be the DNA of all these tweakers. And, you know, either they'll have a hard time finding them, or if they do find them, I mean, they're druggies, they're not going to remember much, they're not going to remember any details. So it just help matters. As they say, gonna be a hell of a job for the crime lab. During the robbery, one of them gets wounded. They have to do something to the security guard. They get out of there. And Sean, he's still uneasy about this new guy, Jay. Well, pretty much all the uncles are uneasy about him, but especially Sean. Scott Speedman seems to be the guy that treats him the best so far. And then Sean, like his personality, like there's a bit where he's just sitting on the couch and tells about how, yeah, I was really close with my sister, and if you ever need anything, just let me know. So it seems like he's welcoming, but at the same time, you can tell if something's completely off with him. And at one point, he like gives the guy this watch. It's like, for your girl, girls like shiny stuff. I don't know. It's just one of those things where the vibe, the locale, where it's California and surfing and all that, it just kind of gelled for me. Like I said, I thought the writing was pretty decent. I thought the acting was pretty decent. And it made me intrigued to see what would happen next. And you know what? I'm just going to, screw it. I'll talk about episode 2 as well. Because Tyler did mention if you want to, you could just do them in the same episode. I might as well. Because there's only like 10 minutes here. Because episode 2, that's when they're playing basketball pool. As in, they're in the pool, they're playing basketball. And they're fairly rough during that whole thing. There's a bit where Scott Speedman and Sean are playing basketball, and one has to elbow the other off. And it shows how far things have gone with cable, at least with stuff like TNT, because like there's a bit here that's like a sex scene. Like, right, you don't see the full thing, but you see enough of the side that you see, a bit of the ass and a bit of the side of the boob, and you see that she's naked and riding the guy, and I'm like, even then, like, this scene wouldn't fit, they wouldn't gel in a PG-13 movie, and I mean, it's not as shocking as I make it sound. I mean, NYPD Blue showed nudity years and years before that. So I don't know why this is surprising me on it, but I guess I'm just so used to still the cable of yesteryear. And also, it seems that if a cable is more lenient on something, it's gore and not as much nudity and sex. But so even then, I'm still thinking they're going to be more picky on that subject. So when I see it, I'm like, oh, okay. And that's where Jay finds out that one of the uncles, he's like getting a BJ in a bathroom, and the guy noses it. And so he like beats up the guy and pretends that, oh yeah, he was trying to do stuff to me. I'm guessing that's something that's going to come into play much later on, this guy's sexuality and how he doesn't want, of course, people to know it. And like I say, it's kind of like some of the other shows I've seen for requests, like The Sopranos and Breaking Bad, that you kind of I'm on my guard, just wondering what's going to happen next. Because it almost seems like anything can happen at any moment, and it's not entirely predictable, which makes it intriguing for the viewer to again wonder what's going to happen next and want to follow along more. Like Jay thinks he's going to get run over by this guy, and he doesn't. So he trips on his bike, and the guy goes, "I'll see you at home." And the gist of this plot, again, the spoilers, is that the security guard that was in the bank heist, not bank, think of it different, but it was a heist. That was more of a cop, and he died. So now the heat's really on them. Ellen Barkin says the jewelry that we got, the watches in particular, we can't sell them because people are not going to want to buy these things. Of course, the other uncles are pissed off about that because they want some of that money. At this point, like Scott Speedman, he does seem like the most level-headed of the group. More Sean not trusting Jay. There's this one bit where Sean's like wondering about this watch and where'd you put the watch that I gave you. And then later on sees that, oh, it gave it to Jay gave it to his girlfriend. And like I say, you don't know when Sean will snap or not. And that's also a bit where even Ellen Barkin knows that her son is a bit out there, so she's going to steal medication, try to put some in his food. So, there's a bit where the guy was like, I think in the middle of the night, naked, outside, butt naked. For some reason. They didn't really explain that part as to why he was that way. I guess it's just more of his... And I don't know if they explained yet why he's that mental and crazy. I don't know. Maybe Tyler knows this. Is that something they explain later on? This is why Sean is so crazy and why he's so out there. Meanwhile, not Scott Speedman and not Sean, the other two uncles, they're told to break apart this vehicle. And they're tired of doing the grunt work, but they're doing it. But the guy who's wounded before, he realizes that the wound is getting worse, and it's nothing, it's nothing. So the other guy goes, you know what? It's going to take days to do this. Let's just set it on fire. Which is not what Ellen Barkin wanted, and she's not going to be happy about it. And I'm guessing that's going to come into play later. Either because it's a fire, someone's going to find the vehicle, they're going to inspect it, and maybe there's going to be other things that people don't be worried and paranoid about. The family realizes that the guy was wounded, he's worse for the wear, so Scott Speedman takes him to Mexico. They don't show how they get into Mexico. It's like they start in California and all of a sudden they're in Mexico. I thought that was kind of a missed opportunity. I get it. You only have so much time, but how do you get from here to Mexico with a guy who's bleeding and has a bullet wound? Do you pay off the guards? Is there a secret road? Is there a secret tunnel? I don't know. How do they get from there to Mexico just like that? I mean, they never explain it. You think there'd be some kind of suspense, some kind of trickery. They know someone there that'll get them across the border fine. They know someone who to pay off. None of that. So I thought that seemed like an important element that was skipped. The lead teen, the J guy, he's fine so far. I don't really have much issues with him. He's pretty much the audience at this point, the observer. We're seeing through his eyes. I did like the bit in the previous episode where this one guy kept calling his mom's cell phone saying, I need money, you owe me money. And then finally, with a bit of influence from the stuff he's been seeing, he gets a gun, or gets the guy's gun and pulls it on him and says, my mom is dead from the stuff you gave her. He doesn't shoot the guy, but definitely scares the hell out of him. So you see that he's got a little bit of a backbone. And I wonder, probably more than likely, it may be like a Breaking Bad Bryan Cranston situation where they're a little bit, although this guy would be a bit more innocent at first, but we're probably going to see a little bit of the influence creeping up on, and a little bit of the devil on their shoulder. Not so much a saint, I would guess. I don't know, maybe not. But it does showcase, especially episode 2, that almost everybody on the show has lies and keeps secrets. Even though they say, hey, people keep reminding people, you did tell me anything, you did tell me anything, you tell me everything. But everybody has lies and secrets. Ellen Barkin, even though the watch is supposed to be destroyed, I swear you see like she has some of them and puts them in this vault. Of course, the one guy, he's gay, but he doesn't want people to know. The one guy, even though he's wounded, and you tell he's getting infected, he doesn't want to tell anybody. Spoiler, Scott Speedman, when they get to Mexico, you find out he has another girlfriend there. So he cheats on his wife, and where they have a kid together. Also, there's what was God? I was going to say. Oh, even Scott Speedman's wife. You tell that she knew Sean's character back in the day. So it was a bit where Sean gives her a gift for her daughter. But then when Scott Speedman says, where did that doll come from? oh, got it from blah blah blah. So she lies about it. So everybody, pretty much everybody lies. One scene that also was kind of interesting that I wonder if it'll lead to something is I mentioned Scott Speedman's character is adopted. So there's a point where he goes in this place that I'm guessing is his real dad, and he like cleans up the place. It's really nasty, and the guy's just sitting in a chair. So Scott gets a gun, and it's like he's like cleaning up stuff and cleaning up the fridge, and he brought like cat food and stuff home. They just sort of grabs a gun and just puts it to the back of the guy's head until like a phone or something rings. And then he puts it away, and the guy's like, "You bring the cat food?" Like, just that notion right there just tells a lot of the story of Scott Speedman's character. And then also there's a little bit that Ellen Barkin says where I remember you when you were first here and you were afraid people would steal your food, and pretty much literally saying that he had horrible parents. So you have even the first two episodes, you have a lot of these ideas, a lot of these little moments that you see. Now there's a whole world to play with in terms of writing for the characters. The one guy who happens to be gay, how much he's going to keep that secret. Will he get a boyfriend or anything? What's that going to do? Without it being like a message in your face or anything. Scott Speedman, what's the deal with his actual dad, and what now he's cheating on his wife, and why did his wife lie to Scott Speedman that the doll was from your technically, well, not blood related, but your brother, Sean. It brings a lot of intrigue to make you wonder what's going to happen next. I see the acting was good. The pacing, I didn't feel too bored. Again, the show, like Breaking Bad and The Sopranos, they definitely keep a bit of intrigue and attention to make you wonder what's going to happen next. And I can appreciate that. I guess I can appreciate that. Because that's more so than a lot of movies I've seen lately. And if you're wondering, I'm looking up to see about this show, if there's anything else I could say about it. Crime drama, yeah, that'd be the best way to put it. There were 6 seasons, 75 episodes. Sorry that I'm blanking out. I'm just looking to just see. I don't know. I just trying to see if there's any bits of details I could put in there. Finn Cole is the lead guy. Jay, his real name is his character's name is Joshua. I guess he was Jacob Toretto, the young version in F9, Fast and Furious 9. Done other films, but I don't recognize any of the names. And yeah, Sean Hatosi played Andrew, nicknamed Pope Cody. Suffers from mental illness and OCD. Served 3 years in prison. Ben Robson as Craig, the middle Cody, who loves drugs. Unpredictable, less reliable. Loves the parties, loves the lifestyle. Jake Weary as Darren, the youngest. He's more of a surfer. He's the guy that you find out is gay. And then Scott Speedman, he's the adopted one and kind of the leader of the family. Or a leader of the other brothers. Of course, Ellen Barkin, the tough matriarch, runs a respected criminal enterprise in Oceanside, California. Very protective of her family. But yeah, you get the feeling that if things go worse for wear, she's probably going to want to save herself at first. So yeah, the first season, 10 episodes, and each season after were 13. So there you go. So sorry about that. I know that's not interesting information, but I don't know. Why not? But overall, I liked what I saw so far, so not too bad, not too shabby. I don't really have a whole lot of issues so far. But I don't know, when it's these kind of shows, like TV shows, unless it's really, really awful, like She-Hulk, they're less than an hour long. It does seem like TV has better writing than movies, and that seems to be a common notion for the most part, that for people out there that's like, yeah, TV shows the writing's a bit better. I don't know if it's because it's TV, they don't have to rely on hopeful special effects and spectacle to try to entertain the viewer. And if you're something like Marvel, even that, they've been failing on that for a while, because even the action hasn't been that great, the spectacle hasn't been that special, the effects have been that looked a lot cheaper. But right, I mean, I'm saying that, but this, like I said, this show's from what, 2016 it started, but still, maybe because for a TV show, because they only have a certain amount of budget, you gotta make sure the words, the dialogue stick, and keep people invested, or it's not gonna last long. And because they want to make sure it lasts long, they try to work a little bit harder. Grant, that's not every TV show. Like I said, She-Hulk was absolutely god awful. The stuff I've heard about some of these Disney Star Wars shows, although I do like The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, but some of the other shows I've heard of, yeah, doesn't seem like much. It's not all TV shows, but the ones away from Disney, I'll put it that way. But overall, I liked it. I liked what I saw. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.